I'm going to read a condensed excerpt from my third book, the second novel. It's called Pioneer Girl. It's a galley copy. It is about Laura Ingalls Wilder, Midwestern longing, bad restaurants, and Asian people. The part I'm going to read is just about the last two, bad restaurants and Asian people. The narrator is someone who grew up in a family that ran bad restaurants. America is mostly made up of small towns, and no matter where you go, mountains or seaside or flatness, you will always find, just off an interstate or county road, or tucked into a strip mall on a commercial pass, a worn-out-looking Chinese buffet. It might be called the Golden Panda, or New China, or New Golden Panda. Some of the buildings will have a pagoda look to them, with faux clay tiles and gold trim. Others will be more to the point, cement, windowless, cheap real estate. They will have rutted lots, signs that say, more parking in rear. When you open the door, a two-tone bell will announce your arrival. Inside, the lighting will be dimmed, concealing the fine layers of grease that have settled into the surfaces, settling even now into your hair, your clothes, your skin. But don't think about that. Look instead at all the Asian stuff. Dusty red lanterns, pictures of dragons and fishermen, paper placemats printed with signs of the Chinese zodiac. Everywhere you look, there will be plastic, vinyl, PVC, the plants in the corners, the seat of each chair, the amber-colored cups at the water dispenser, and at the cash register, the little altruistic trays that tell you to go ahead, take a penny, leave a penny. But remember what it is you came for. The goal, the crux. The gleaming rows of inset chafing dishes where steam rises to meet the plastic roofs known as sneeze guards. You might agree that one of the best things about a buffet is no waiting. The plates and bowls are always ready, and someone will always take the dirty ones away. As experienced diners know, time can work for you at the buffet. Play it right, and the span between walking in the door to biting into an egg roll is no more than 2 minutes. But what is your methodology? Do you move from left to right, appetizers to dessert? Do you pace yourself, dish by dish? Or do you crowd as much as you can into each helping? How do you gauge your hunger to your greed? How do you figure the difference between eating and consuming? You might choose to begin at the tureens of soup, wonton, hot and sour, yellow egg drop thickened into goo. From there you might be distracted by mounds of fried rice shining with oil, sesame balls, steamed buns. There will be piles of those cabbage-filled egg rolls, their skins turning obstinate under the heat lamps. The whole array of fried will be impressive. Fried wonton strips, fried shrimp, fried chicken wings, fried crab puffs, fried dumplings, and the essential crab rangoon. All that happens even before the entrees. Your lo mein, spare ribs, Mongolian beef, sweet and sour pork, sweet and sour chicken, cashew chicken, almond chicken, sesame chicken, and of course, the famous deep-fried nubs named after mysterious General Tso. It's all gloriously American, brought in by food distributors, defrosted, reheated, refried, doused with the sweet, viscous sauces that arrive in giant plastic jars or frozen blocks almost arbitrarily labeled Kung Pao, garlic, and Szechuan. This is not to say that all buffets are alike. No, each has its own personality, its own special offerings, like fried corn on the cob or Shanghai noodle burritos. Some buffets take a pan-Asian approach with California rolls, pad thai, chewy parcels of bulgogi. Some rely on incentives, like all-you-can-eat king crab legs for an additional $4. Others go for a broad ethnic variety, adding spaghetti, tater tots, quesadillas, chicken fingers, a bit of mixed romaine with ranch, Italian, and Thousand Island dressings parked right next to the dessert puddings. Dessert, of course, is a crucial part of any buffet. You need the soft-serve ice cream with the fixins, bar of chocolate, and caramel and sprinkles. You need your grocery store cookies, cannoli, brownies, orange jelly rolls, slices of sheet cake, and red dye cherry pie. You have to have your syrup-soaked fruit cups, your red and lime jello, your jello mixed with Cool Whip. All this and so much more for just $5.99 at lunch and $8.99 at dinner, not including tax and drinks. Most customers don't leave tips, and maybe just $1 or some change. though they do make as many trips as possible to the chafing dishes, hauling food like it's a sport. The same people who tell their children to eat every bite on their plates at home will heap on the sweet and sour, take a couple of bites, and move on to a fresh plate. When presented with a buffet, a kind of determination tends to come over people. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe you start to feel, as I have, like the food is free, but the whole of it is yours. Then you ought to claim more and more, even if you don't eat it. You wonder if you can sneak some leftovers home. You're paying for this, after all. You find yourself getting caught up in the allure, the expanse, dizzied by the promise, the challenge of all you can eat, all you can get, all you can demand. In your haste, you might spill food on the tables, grab at the serving spoons, drop them wherever you like. Doesn't matter. Eat now, forget tomorrow. Ask for more fried shrimp, more white meat chicken. You must exercise your right for endless refills, bottomless cups of soda pop. You must do whatever it takes to get your money's worth. When you see these restaurants, especially in the many areas of the United States referred to as flyover country, when you're driving past them, glad to be heading somewhere else, somewhere better, no doubt, you may feel sadness and amazement and pity, and you may wonder, how did that restaurant happen? Are actual Asian people running it? How did those poor souls end up here in the middle of nowhere? My family was one of those you might have wondered about. In 1989, if you had driven past the Golden Dragon restaurant in LaPorte, Indiana, and perhaps decided to stop and check out the place, why not? You're hungry, you might risk it. You would have seen my parents replenishing the buffet, unloading ribs and wings, wiping the tables, stacking plates. Interchangeably, waiters, busboys, cooks. My parents ran the place in tandem. They weren't Chinese, and neither had any training as a chef. But it didn't matter, because the customers didn't know the difference. I was 5 years old then. I had no idea what it meant to run a restaurant, to be one of the few Asian families within a wide radius. In a year, my father would be dead, and not long after that, the rest of us would be in a different small town in a different Midwestern state. LaPorte was about 20 miles away from a nuclear power plant in Michigan City, where we had gone once to see that great lake. Sam and I were fascinated by the cooling towers, and by the fact that you could swim and lie on the beach within view of those thick hourglasses, the steam that lifted away from them in slow motion. Ever after, I couldn't help associating LaPorte with those towers, vaguely menacing, yet something people seem to take for granted. Sam and I used to go to the Golden Dragon with our grandfather for a late dinner. Late because we could eat the dregs of the buffet for nothing, and with no customers around, the restaurant felt like our own playhouse. We crammed our mouths with wonton strips and drank as much Sprite as we wanted. If any crab rangoons were left, we fought over them. Our grandfather shook his head at the very idea, sickening to him, of cream cheese flavored with baked crab and stuffed in a wonton, deep fried. Sam and I knew we were American because we loved those things the most. Usually, the customers assumed we didn't speak English, and therefore, we were invisible to them. If white people thought I couldn't understand them, what might they say? As it turned out, people liked making jokes about eating dogs. They said no matter how much they ate, they were going to get hungry again in an hour, a joke I never got. Sometimes they took on exaggerated Asian accents right in front of me, like Mickey Rooney doing yellow-faced in Breakfast at Tiffany's. $5 was a common phrase. Ah, grasshopper, bonsai. And the yodeled, cringing cry of Long Duk Dong from 16 Candles, the thing I could never forgive John Hughes for, oh, sexy girlfriend. It was all a joke, of course. Can you take a joke? It's funny. Why get offended? Why be so sensitive? But then there were times people would want me to talk. They would ask me what I was. What are you? Where are you from? Answering America or here was never sufficient. It didn't matter that I was born in LaPorte. They wanted to know where I was really from, what I really was. They would take guesses. They would ask if I knew such and such Vietnamese person in a totally different city. Was I related to them? Occasionally people would mention that their father or uncle had fought in the Vietnam War, and a few times people asked what right I had to be in this country. That was when I started realizing that not everyone knew the basic history of the war, that there were those who viewed all of Vietnam as the enemy, the Charlie, so many fucked up movies. In retrospect, most of the customers were forgettably normal. A number of vets frequented the buffets, and they were always kind, prone to leaving tips, lingering to chat with my grandfather. But of course, I remembered the tough patrons most. I let their words linger, reiterate themselves in so many moments of reflection. I often wonder how my mother, with that proud lift of her chin, had been able to stand it. But she was pragmatic. If the money was good, and the money was steady, what else mattered? Didn't make any difference, she said, if all the customers were fools, so long as they paid. My grandfather seemed to agree. He made friends with regulars, told them to call him on high. He said you couldn't blame people for still learning, even if they were pretty slow at it. He traded jokes with customers, talked weather, snow, lake effect, smiled no matter what. When people complimented him on his English, he thanked them with sincerity. On high became the name he answered to at work and at home. This is good business, is what he said. This is our American way. Thank you for being here.